Chapter 51. Universal Kissing Signal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Where is my aura burst? No matter how much he roared in his mind, Ben didn't feel any sudden surge of strength. I don't understand that in all those novels I read, how did those MCs do it? I thought after Truck.Cohen made a cameo, things would change. But the power up hasn't come for me. It's almost as if it's completely unrealistic. I should go now, Benjamin.San. God damn it. Ben knew it was over for tonight. He pulled back the troops. It was fun. Antonio told Ben not to make the mistake of asking her if she wanted to see him again. She already knew whether she did or not. If he asked her, it would only make him seem uncertain and needy. It was better texting her later for a second date without her expecting it. That way, she'd be uncertain if he would text her at all, which would keep her wondering, keep her thinking about him. However, before Ben left, there was one last side mission to complete. Although getting her somewhere private didn't work, it didn't mean Miyuki didn't like him. After all, his system made that clear. Target's current attraction level. Attracted, target's current comfort level. Familiar, envy. Ben knew that since Miyuki was still standing there, that meant it was on her mind too. Their eyes met. He took a step towards her. He glanced at her lips and she glanced back at his. There's the signal. The universal kissing signal from the book of sex.u.a.l Morse code. Antonio told him about it. If when he looked at a girl's lips, she looked back at his, she was telling him she was ready for a kiss. It was important to receive this signal before going for a kiss. Otherwise, if she rejected the kiss, it would be more difficult to get one later. Women liked men who were smooth enough to do things right the first time. Inch by inch, Ben leaned his head in. Miyuki's cheeks turned red, but she closed her eyes. Just a little, she puckered out her lips. Like a lion catching a gazelle, Ben's lips grasped hers. NNN. Miyuki made a slight whimper. Ben placed his hands on her hips. He moved his lips around, exploring hers, feeling their elasticity. Soft, he thought, but it wasn't enough. He reached his tongue into her mouth. Miyuki didn't stop him. Ben moved his tongue around the inside of her lips. Then, he met his rival. Her wet tongue. At first, they only touched against each other, probing, testing. Soon, Ben's tongue twirled around hers, taking control of the rhythm. Only seconds later, she surrendered. It was a mismatch. Enemies became lovers. He assumed the role of the conqueror, massaging her tongue, guiding their movements. Miyuki's tongue tasted like green tea. Tasty, he thought. Miyuki leaned into Ben's embrace, putting her arms around his neck. Chim.o.a.net. Creak. Like awaking from a dream, Miyuki's eyes popped open as she hurried to distance herself from Ben, putting her back against her door. It's like I said, Benjamin.San, please keep the noise down. She swallowed while gazing at the student neighbor who walked out of the adjacent hallway carrying a garbage bag. The student was wearing a hoodie that obstructed their face. After watching Ben and Miyuki for a few seconds, the neighbor turned and walked in the other direction to the garbage chute. Miyuki breathed a sigh of relief. It was best if no one in the dormitory knew she was dating Ben. Them walking together meant nothing, but if a student saw them kissing. Benjamin.San, I'm going inside. It was a lovely date. Thank you. She entered her room and closed the door behind her. Ben shook his head. A kiss didn't satisfy him. All those CXY techniques I read on Google seem to work, so the kiss went well. The problem is that at this rate, my life will become slice of life. He sighed. Since I can't cook worth a damn, slice of life means publisher God will end this story next week and the system will slice my head. That won't do. Gone bare. It worried Ben, but he didn't dwell on it because besides for Miyuki's clothes, there was another present waiting for him to unwrap. The points. The rewards. Soft. Tasty. These were the softest and tastiest things to Ben. He rushed to his room to savor them. When he left, Miyuki stopped watching through the peephole and leaned her back against the wall. Her breathing was heavy, her mind occupied with various thoughts. But not as occupied as her hands. Her left hand was squeezing her nipple-HNNGG. Her face expressed helpless surrender. Her right hand was moving down to her other sensitive area. Lower and lower. In the hallway, the student in a hoodie returned to the area where Ben and Miyuki were making out a minute ago. With a sly grin, that friendly neighbor stared at Miyuki's door for a long time. They licked their lips, anticipating it. The flavor of green tea. Chapter 52. Smile like a donut. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Smooch a pooch, common. Kiss one new woman who is attracted to you, distributing reward. PUA points plus 100, congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. First date, first victim, common. Have a successful date with a woman that she doesn't cut short, distributing reward. PUA points plus 100, I could be a victim too, damn it. Ben was willing to sacrifice himself just to prove a point. Congratulations. You've completed the weekly challenge. A frog's kiss. Kiss one new woman who is attracted to you, distributing reward. Stat point, random, x1, assigning stat knowledge plus 1, it was Ben's first time increasing his knowledge. It was hard to say what was different. He didn't feel like in the Matrix where the system jammed a bunch of kung fu information into his head. No matter how hard he searched his memories, there wasn't any new bro science that he didn't feel more clever either. Yet, when he tried to recall random information he'd learned in the past, he noticed it came to mind faster and clearer. He thought about the recent classes he took. Although he hadn't attended them in over a week, he remembered the teachings even better now than when he recalled them a week ago. Many details he forgot were now accessible. So you could say that a higher knowledge stat improved his memory, increasing the amount of knowledge accessible by him. The effect wasn't exaggerated, but he noticed the relative difference. He speculated it may be different if he organically increased the knowledge or used a stat growth multiplier, since an immediate boost from the weekly challenge was rather forceful and under a condition where he wasn't learning anything new. Ben's stats now looked like this. Looks. 6. Not handsome. Not ugly. Not anything really. You just exist. The coldest treatment is indifference. Ben wondered about this strange new emotion in his chest. Was he starting to long for the insults? Charisma. 7. Charismatic. When you speak, some people can't help but listen, so you know kindness after all. Social status. 2. Bring out the gimp. A serf. A human toilet. Ben violently shook his head. Denial, shame, avoidance. Let's move on to the next one. Seduction skills. 3. If the current you reincarnated to elementary school, you might stand a chance of getting little Susie to go to the dance instead of slapping you with that pizza slice. She even knows about that. He received an alert for a natural stat increase during all those system messages earlier, and now he discovered it was to seduction skills. Knowledge. 5. Average student, went from entry level to average, not bad. Manliness. 4, 3 plus 1. A little sugar in the shorts, Ben shrugged. Who doesn't like sugar? The plus 1 was from the system item he was wearing. Black tungsten ring. Communication. 5. Average speaker, no improvement, but somehow my mood has improved a little. Personal talent. 2. Why does a clown not even know how to juggle? That I can't say. I never thought about it, but now I'll never learn to juggle. Ben's only available revenge was spiteful self-destruction. PUA points. 350. Ben made some gains in the past few days. He also received several useful items in the Club Rat's fake ID, black tungsten ring, and Lucky Clove cigarettes, and a propeller hat. Even so, he still didn't know the meaning of the word pride. It was difficult not to be humbled with a system that berated him even when he made advances. Although his changes weren't anything monumental, his stats were increasing at a steady pace. He had his first successful date and kiss since middle school today. At last, he could look his middle school self in the eye, and not feel shame, not that much shame. Okay, at least he wouldn't feel humiliated. Ben looked at the next weekly challenge. Weekly challenge. Smile like a donut. Receive oral sex. Not from yourself. And from a woman, you didn't have to specify that. Reward. Stat point, random, x1, completion status. 0 to 1. Looking at this weekly challenge, he didn't have many thoughts about it. It was close enough to his death mission that he believed one would lead to the other. So he left it at that. There was something more important to do. Ben looked at the time. It wasn't too late. Since it was his first serious date, he expected his encounter with Miyuki wouldn't lead to the bedroom. That's why he made a backup plan. Antonio couldn't come out today, so Ben decided he would go on a solo journey. He even had a special destination in mind. It was a place where he planned to confirm some of his conjectures about Domina and the system. I only hope I don't run into a soulless abomination from the Nethervoid. Ben was going to an SM fetish club. Chapter 53. Batman enters an SM club. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Ben stood at a dark street corner peering at a massive warehouse filled with delinquency, debauchery, and Euro-electronic music. His Batman mask hid his genuine identity, protecting him and his loved ones from the repercussions of whatever vile deeds he might have to commit next. The Dark Knight was looking for a dark nut. The warehouse was an SM fetish club he found online. One with a dress code. Ben didn't have any metal or latex, so he went with the normie alternative of black. The costume shop Batman mask cherried his black shirt and coat. He couldn't afford the full Bat.N.I.P.P.L.E suit, which showed he was not born in the darkness, but merely adopted by it. He hoped it wouldn't cost him. It was a party that only happened once a week or once a month, so with only a few days remaining until his deadline, he needed answers. He came to see if the system would classify this place as a dungeon. If so, he might gain unexpected benefits again. Ben approached the front entrance, a dark tunnel leading to a stairwell. At the end, there were several huge security guards on the stairs above and a sole doorman below, who wore an armband that read, DM. Ben's eyebrows lifted. Wow, that there's a dungeon master here. So this really might be like Domina. Hey, you're the DM? Ben asked. That's right, the man answered. I didn't run into a DM at Domina, maybe there are some hidden options I can explore with this guy, Ben thought. Can I pick my class and race with you? The man was silent for a few seconds. DM stands for Dungeon Monitor, not Dungeon Master. Then he narrowed his eyes. Damn it, not another Dungeons and Dragons Beast Hunter. Beast Hunter. Ben blinked. The man glared at him. Are you here to F***ck orcs? The DM looked up at security. Hey. We've got another orc F***ker. Get him out of here. Ben shook his head in a hurry. No. I don't F***ck orcs. At this, the man paused and scrutinized Ben. You swear you won't go Juggernaut? That I swear. The DM relaxed as if nothing happened. Good. This isn't that kind of party. That's next week. Hopefully, by next week, I'll either be dead or far from here. Ben went through the entry process before making his way up the stairs. When Ben walked out of the stairwell, the first room that opened to him featured a long dark bar. It didn't look too different from Domina, with some decorations but nothing crazy. However, by now he was sure of one thing which disappointed him. The system didn't recognize this club as a dungeon. He hadn't received any alerts. So if it wasn't the SM theme that made Domina a dungeon, what was it? For now, Ben didn't have any good ideas. Since he was already here, he decided to not waste his night and explore the place instead. If lucky, he'd find some beauties with daddy issues or Batman issues. There were a few guests and staff scattered about. Ben walked to the bar and ordered a ginger ale from the bartender. "Hey, how you doin', Dot?" A man's voice came from Ben's right. Ben turned to see a young man with medium-length parted black hair with blonde highlights. He wore a glossy black polyester dress shirt with black plastic spikes on the shoulders. His outfit screamed, "Don't touch me. But keep touching me though." This wasn't the type of character Ben would associate with under normal circumstances, but a second ago, a man in a full black latex suit with a zipper on his mouth passed by, so Ben was in desperate need of allies. "Fine. Name's Leon. Your first time. How could you tell? You're wearing a Batman costume." "Right. How about you? I see you're not drinking." Leon's head tilted downward and his face became slack. "I'm on timeout." "What?" "I've been a bad dog." That's when Ben noticed a leash hanging from Leon's neck on the opposite side facing him. It was at that moment he realized nothing in this place was as simple as it seemed. He took a closer look around. There were 2 signs on the bar wall. No smoking. No finger-banging. He spotted a third one by the liquor bottles. No squirting near the drinks. Time to move. Ben had already walked away from the bar, leaving his untouched ginger ale. As he left, he heard Leon's whimpers fading into the distance. Arf arf. Walking through the warehouse, Ben felt relief when he could no longer hear Leon. Yet, as he walked further in, he realized he'd made a huge mistake. Without knowing, he'd left the newbie zone, arriving in an area that made the Squirt Bar look like heaven on earth, but some places are much easier to enter than leave. That's when Ben started to listen for those dog whimpers like a lost boat seeking a lighthouse. A pity. We don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. Chapter 54. Welcome to Hell. We have such sights to show you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Legends say when you're in a haunted place and walk through a ghost, you feel a chill. Ben felt like his balls were about to freeze off. But the people around him were alive. Is this hell? Did someone dose me with hallucinogenics? The sound of electronic music flared as Ben appreciated the new-age decor. X-shaped giant crosses with people tied to them, benches with adu.l.ts lying down and getting spanked, an old man strapped into a hospital bed screaming puzzling obscenities. F*ck your ass, you c.u. guzzling thunder *nts. You jizz. Inhaling gerbil. F** curs. Get that pickle sniffer out here. Where is Dr. Dildo Baggins? Who owns this place? Clive Barker. Ben didn't stop to smell the roses in this shart garden, instead, he rushed through at the fastest speed he could muster without tripping over a sex toy. Escape. The young were hopeful, but hope was the ultimate concealed curse in Pandora's box. Hell hath many layers. People dressed head to toe in furry animal costumes. Santa Claus making out with the Easter Bunny. A.D.U.L.Ts in diapers sucking on pacifiers. Wea. One middle-aged man was in an ADU.L.T.sized crib crying like a baby. A woman came out and started Brie.S. feeding him. Don't let that thing grow up. Ben screamed as he ran away. He turned the corner and thought he was safe when he heard shouting ahead. 2 men in leather were choking each other blue. Ben thought they were fighting and hurried over to break it up. Hey, calm down. Stop it. They both glanced at him, then each put a hand on one of his shoulders. One spoke. What's up? Want to get in on this? We could make it a three-way choke and poke. The other chimed in. The rare Trifu *KTA. After a moment of confusion, Ben stepped back and darted away. David Carradine wasn't enough. You both deserve Wanksidence. Ben was gasping from running so much. What's with this warehouse? It's like a damn maze. All the frantic movement caused him to become lost. There wasn't anything like a map around and he didn't have a copy of Dante's Inferno. Yet, he didn't dare return to those zones he passed through. Better the devil he didn't know than those damn devils. There must be an exit or somewhere to rest. Ben needed to catch his breath. During a rare moment of respite, he discovered an empty sofa nearby and took a seat to get his bearings. BBZZZZZ, ah. Ben stood up while shaking. It electrocuted him in the anus. He scrutinized the sofa and saw little metal pads on the seats he thought nothing of before. Nothing is safe here. Ben backed away from all the furniture, searching for any safe corner where he could rest a minute. He noticed a painted black wall with various unusual writings in white chalk. You had me at hello. Bush did 9/11. Epstein didn't kill himself. Ben didn't care much and set his back against it. He could only feel secure like this, with his back against the wall, a fact as ironic as it was tragic. Even so, he sighed in relief. Safe at last. There was a cup-sized round hole in the wall a foot from his head. In the corner of his eye, Ben noticed movement and turned. Like when playing Whack-a-Mole, a beige sausage-shaped creature emerged from the wall. It was rock hard. Ben squinted. Diglett. He turned pale. No. Glory hole. It was a glory hole. One with a political and conspiratorial bias. On instinct, Ben threw out a punch. Ayaha. As Ben sprinted away, the scream continued behind him. 5 minutes later. Ben was hiding in a large room behind a CX swing. He heard the DM's voice as the man passed from room to room shouting. Everyone. We've got a C*puncher on the loose. Ben relaxed when he understood they weren't aware he was the notorious C*puncher. He now had a genuine secret identity. My integration percentage with the Batman mask has increased. The DM continued. He turned old Carl into a left-leaner. Be careful out there. Some random patrons yelled back. Shut up, Steve. It's just a C*puncher. Yeah. Hey C*puncher, if you can hear this, you can come punch my D*K off. I like it. This is no place for the living. Ben switched rooms with fevered urgency. However, in this dark warehouse of primal chaos, his mind was becoming hazy. When you keep a secret identity, your true self becomes blurred. Who was the real him? Ben. Batman. C*puncher. Was he serving justice or evil? Was he even making a difference? He didn't know anything anymore. He was tired, much too tired. Justice was a cruel joke in this place. This warehouse didn't need justice. Evil was bred into it, multiplying, regenerating. You punch off one C*CK and 100 take its place. The darkness never ended. Author's note. The next chapter will be the first R.18 chapter. This is your warning. In the future, I'll put R.18 at the end of relevant chapter titles where necessary. Chapter 55. MILF Black Widow, R.18, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Batman was staring down a hot dog-shaped hallway. This must be what Ben Affleck felt like when he was dating Jennifer Lopez. Ben was considering whether to turn back or pass through this long, dark corridor. What should I do? Ahead. The unknown. Behind. C.O.C.Ks seeking knocks. Ahead. When he considered it that way, he crept along the wall at a slow pace. Besides, for the two lit exits, it was difficult to see much. Until it was too late. "Oh, we've got a visitor," a voice in the darkness said. Click. Someone pulled a metal cord hanging from the ceiling, activating a single bulb that brought down blessed light. Yet, Ben reacted like a vampire. No. The dark frightened humans by nature, but other things frightened them far more. It wasn't the light that burned Ben's irises, but what it brought with it, a man fisting another man. A darkness no light could erase. Ben turned pale. These demons. This is the hallway from hell. He staggered backward, attempting to retreat, but he bumped into something massive blocking his exit. He glanced over his shoulder. There was a giant of a man, but that wasn't the problem. He was shirtless, but that was only the smaller problem. He was pantless. That was getting to the root of it. He was N.E.K.E.D except for a metal cage around his groin. Huge F.U.C.K.I.N.G problem. It looks like Bane's mask. Ben stumbled back into the corridor. Not good. What a lovely, lovely voice. The giant's words echoed through the corridor. Don't get into character. What should I do? Ben's eyes turned bloodshot as he looked back at the alternative. The unholy puppet show. There was no way out. He was between AC.O.C.K and a harm place. No, there's some space to the side of the Fistmas Spectacular. If I creep along the walls, I can squeeze through. He set the plan into motion. As Ben escaped, the giant moved in his direction like an Indiana Jones boulder, threatening to flatten him or worse. Ben increased his pace. Then, he reached the first obstacle. Fistapalooza. The space between Ben and them was so narrow that he needed to hug the wall to edge by. Otherwise, he could touch something and pollute the crime scene. As he skulked, the baned beast also reached them. The giant reached his hand into a bowl near the two demons. Ben frowned. What is that? No Lord no. That's a bowl of loose Ms. NV. The giant grunted. Needed some chocolate fuel. Ben swore to never eat MMS again. He inched towards the exit even faster. Right as he was almost through, a barrier went up. An arm extended from the demon on all fours, getting the Alabama manicure. He blocked Ben's path. With a high pitch, the demon said, "The toll." Beads of sweat ran down Ben's face. What toll? Then the demon showed a friendly smile. He held his hand up and his voice became gentle. High five. To Ben, it wasn't friendly. It wasn't friendly at all. He didn't want to touch anything here. He furiously shook his head. The demon started nodding his head just as furiously. He wouldn't take no for an answer. Then the puppet master yelled, "Hey! If he ain't your type, I'll be done soon and you can high-five me." What ensued next was the fastest and most enthusiastic high-five Ben ever gave. The four-legged demon received his toll. He waved as Ben ran into the distance. Bye, Batman. Ben didn't dare look back. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Panting, Ben looked around. At last, he released a genuine sigh of relief. He escaped. He'd found his way back to the entrance bar. That meant the exit was within sight. While walking to his old spot by the bar, he reflected on today's nightmare. He'd lost his innocence. They've broken this cutie. This is why young people shouldn't try new things. The elderly and conservative are right. Stick with what you know. If we still used the horse and buggy, we'd have no deaths from car accidents. Suddenly, a voice came from behind him. Are you alone? On instinct, Ben almost replied, I have an army. 1,000 strong. We are legion. He stopped himself when he realized it was a woman's voice and his head swiveled around. MLF. Ben's jaw almost dropped when he saw this voluptuous mature woman. He wasn't a particular fan of older women, but in this case, she won him over with her talent. Too damn sexy. Ben thought. She looked like an older Scarlett Johansson with very short blonde hair. She even wore a dark leather outfit like Black Widow. With a confident smirk, she took a few steps forward and cornered Ben against the bar, tracing her index finger down his jawline. Well, what's it going to be? Ben nodded with the fury of 1000 V.I.R.G.I.Ns. Hell yes, he was alone. He'd accept being forever alone if it meant her doing a 3-point landing on his little Bane. He didn't care about getting Deadpool's sloppy seconds. He didn't care if she got ruffleized off-screen. He didn't even care if they canonized the Avengers. Endgame fan fiction where she got cream-teamed at the afterparty. He was ready. It was time to shoot the post-credit scene. Shawarma 2. C.O.C. Meat Sandwich. Chapter 56. A Reward for a Good Boy, R.18, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Author's note. Forewarning, this scene will consist of 2 chapters. Ben laid eyes on a legendary prize. Target's current attraction level. Interested, plus 2s.l.u.t bonus, target's current comfort level. Familiar, plus 2s.l.u.t bonus, I've found a legendary SLUT. Ben understood the feeling Christopher Columbus had when he discovered the Americas. Do you want to come with me? MILF Black Widow put her fingertips inside the top of Ben's pants as she awaited his answer. With a stern expression, he nodded. Show me the way, Messiah. She showed a suggestive smile. Then, leaving one hand holding the top of his pants, she turned and walked, pulling him after her. As electronic music resonated through their bodies, she led him through a path in the warehouse Ben hadn't seen before. They didn't travel far though. After a few turns, she stopped in a small hidden area. It was a secluded dim corner in a room with no one else around. She faced him. Ben could smell her perfume, an elegant fragrance, unlike the scents girls his age wore. He asked, Where is Shut up, worm. You speak only when I tell you to, she declared. Ben's eyes twitched. Should I speak up for myself? His pride as a man flared up. Then, his eyes flashed and his face became firm. Speaking is overrated, people got along fine with grunts for 200,000 years. His pride. Beaten and bruised by his thirstiness. The undefeated champ. Seeing Ben followed her directions, the MILF displayed a look of appreciation. Good boy, you deserve a prize. Ben almost started dog panting at the sound of that. She smiled as she held the zipper at the base of her neck. And pulled it down. At a slow pace. Ben's mouth opened while he stared at her chest, as inch after inch of exposed smooth skin entered his sight. She watched him, pleased. The zipper descended all the way to her flat stomach. By that time, her massive cleavage lay exposed to Ben's starving eyes. He fought to restrain a gasp. Those are at least cups. Noticing his eagerness, she smirked, she squeezed them together. Until her open leather outfit could no longer contain them. They broke out and were bare for him to see. Ben ogled those amazing brie A.S.Ts as his mouth became dry. Although she was older, and her tits were natural, they still held an amazing shape. Her red N.P.P.L.es looked like delicious cherries Ben imagined tasting in his mouth. With her huge brie A.S.Ts hanging out only a foot from his face, she tilted her head, looked at him, and squeezed them with her hands so he could get an even better view of their elasticity. Do you like them? Ben almost didn't hear her because those incredible tits sucked in his senses, almost like an illusion. He managed a very slow nod. I like. Gathering courage, he raised his hand and reached up to feel one. Don't touch me, soy boy. The MILF yelled and knitted her brows. His hand bolted back down. Oh, shit. Did I f.u.c.k up? Ben froze, waiting on her response. After a few seconds, she chuckled as her face returned to a teasing smirk. With one hand, she shoved Ben backward, making him bump against the nearby wall. She stepped forward. I call the shots here. Interpreting his silence as acceptance, she added, good boy, you deserve another reward. Then, with her dazzling bra.s.ts still exposed, she placed her palms onto Ben's chest, and with one leg at a time she kneeled down in front of him. She stared forward at his groin, which exposed a full boner at this point. Her left hand squeezed her bra.s.t as the other brushed up and down over her lips. She was contemplating something. Ben just stood there, frozen. What do I do? No, don't f.u.c.k this up. Do nothing. His plan was to play dead with a boner. Okay. She smirked and looked up into Ben's eyes. Then, she reached forward with both hands to his crotch. Ben's heartbeat sped up. Grabbing the top of his pants, she undid the button there. Then, going lower, she found his zipper and pulled it down. Zip. Ben c.o.c.k popped out, bouncing only inches from her face. The dark night rises. With a playful smile, she moved her head around it, looking at each side, exploring. Then, she nodded. Not bad. Ben's chin elevated on instinct. This was the pride of a man watching his son grow up and become an upstanding member of society. Even though I accomplished nothing, a.d.I.c.k compliment still feels good. That's why they call it Goddamn City. The MILF leaned back and down so her firm but rested on her legs. Taking her eyes from Ben c.o.c.k, she brought them up to meet his gaze. Then, she held her tits with both hands and bobbed them up and down. She spread a mischievous smile. Say okay if you're ready to play. Ben's heart thumped, threatening to burst out of his chest. This is really going to happen, incredible that I didn't even do anything. She made it all so easy. It's almost impossible for me to screw this up. Hokeki. Ben stopped breathing. Why did it come out like Lil Jon? Chapter 57. Batman vs. Black Widow, R.18, you are listening at novelfull.audio. MILF Black Widow giggled at Ben's response. Excited, I see that's good. Seeing she wasn't running away, Ben relaxed. She must be a Lil Jon fan. He felt the giant blue boulder of anxiety that was crushing his c.o.c.k.n. balls roll off. Need to be careful. I got too excited and blurted out something stupid. It's a good thing she seems easygoing. Slap. His thoughts came to a slapping halt as the MILF smacked his dick. Slap, WTF sausage. Although it didn't hurt, Ben didn't expect this development. He wondered, is this karma for the c.o.c. punching? She snickered. You like that, worm? Ben was halfway through a shrug, but as he noticed her face drop, he called an audible and changed it to an eager nod. Good boy. She smiled. Then, she took her palm, brought it to her mouth, and ran it down across her tongue, applying saliva to it. Ben's manhood pulsated at the sight. With her now wet palm, she wrapped her right hand around the base of Ben's dick. He felt the warmth and firmness of her fingers. His breath began to hasten. This was the first time a woman ever touched him down there. With her face next to it, she gave it one slow stroke, up and down, then from above, she spit down on it. After, she moved her head back a bit, while a string of saliva still hung from her bottom lip, extending to his dick. Yun. Although she hadn't done much, Ben was already very turned on. With her fingers, she rubbed the saliva all over his cock. When it was wet enough for her, while holding it with her right hand, she arched upwards, lifted her bras.s.ts with her other arm, and brought his c.o.c.k down with force. Slap she slapped it against her left brst. Slap she slapped it against her right brst. Slap slap over and over, she c.o.c. K. slapped herself on her tits as she chewed on her bottom lip, enjoying the sounds and sensations. Ben was also savoring it. The jiggle of her tits entranced him every time his d.I.c.k made impact. Once she had enough, she rubbed the head of Ben's c.o.c.k against her n.I.p.p.l.es, closing her eyes as she relished in their sensitivity. Oh! After a few seconds, she opened her eyes. Then, she spit again, but this time with gentleness, letting the saliva descend downward until it settled between her tits. Ben's loins heated up watching all this. His c.o.c.k in her hand throbbed under so much teasing. When everything was slippery enough, she let go of Ben's dick, arching her back up. She held each of her massive bras.s.ts with one hand. First, she rubbed them side to side against Ben's cock. Then, she separated them, and a second later, brought them down again, clamping them around his manhood. Her tits swallowed it. Only the tip was visible, sticking out the top. So soft, he thought, as the two humongous mounds grasped his dick. She let out a little m.o.n as she lifted her shoulders, her tits moving up with them, creating friction on Ben's cock. Then back down. Like this, she continued, slow at first, then faster. OFUCK. Ben's d.I.c.k was getting the most incredible massage. You like that? Me f.u.c.k.I.n.gu with my tits. Why? Yeah. He found it difficult to speak straight as the sensations overloaded his brain. What's more is the situation itself was too arousing. This sexy MILF he met only a few minutes ago now had her spit all over his c.o.c.k as he f.u.c.k.ied her tits. It was unbelievably hot. She kept going, every little while, spitting down on the head of his d.I.c.k to add lubricant. Ah! Those tits were driving Ben crazy. Blood rushed down to his manhood, making it throb every couple of seconds. When it did, she felt it too and licked her lips, but didn't stop. She never stopped. For minutes, she only f.u. c.k.ied Ben c.o.c.k with her tits, like a sex machine. It felt so much better than when he did it himself. Ah damn. He couldn't take much more. Locking eyes with him, she showed a naughty smile while biting her lip and repeatedly nodding to him. See that you done 'em all over my tits, she ordered. Erg. Ben's breathing was very heavy. His fists clenched and his back pressed against the wall. It felt too damn good. Fuck. Yes. See that you done 'em for me. I want it. She accelerated her up and down movements even further as her breathing also became short. Her face turned red. This excited her. Oh. Ben couldn't hold back anymore. No man could. White goo shot out in several rounds all over her tits and neck. He came. While he was shooting, she didn't stop tit.f.u.c.k.I.n.g. She wanted more. She wanted all of it. Load after load of sticky c.u.m covered her upper body. When he finished, her tits didn't let go of Ben's cock. Instead, feeling the warm and creamy c.u.m, she closed her eyes and released an ecstatic smile. Ah! Her entire body was shaking. She was orgasming. This was her fetish. Ben felt the shivers pass through her body to his. Only after many bouts of shaking that lasted almost half a minute, she exhaled and showed a satisfied smile. Opening her eyes, she gazed down at her C.U.M. covered tits and appreciated her work. She grabbed Ben's C.O.C.K. and used it as a paintbrush to rub the creamy paint all over her chest even further, making sure she didn't miss a single spot. When she finished, still holding his D.I.C.K., she looked up at him and laughed. Good boy. Batman begins and Batman finishes. Ben was gasping against the wall. That bat job put him on his last breath. This MILF Black Widow really knew how to drain him dry of all his bat juice. He only managed to get out one last word, justice. Chapter 58. Snake D** Skin escapes from New York. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So this is what a Marvel vs. DC crossover is like. Ben's thoughts teemed with hypothetical matchups. Meanwhile, MILF Black Widow wiped off her Brie A.S.Ts with some tissues she pulled out from a hidden pocket. Seeing those massive tits, Ben shook his head. Almost got lost in the celestial tier that I need to stay on Earth to monitor these twin villains. Staring at her rub herself, Ben wondered when Black Widow attained such powers of hypnosis. Once the MILF finished cleaning herself off, she zipped up her leather outfit, sending her Brie A.S.Ts back into hiding like supervillains on the run. Then, without saying goodbye or even looking at Ben, she turned, preparing to leave. Realizing the real hero was about to get away, Ben yelled, "Wait. Give me your number." He stepped forward and shoved his cell phone into her hand in a hurry. Only giving him a sideways glance, she chuckled, then dialed a number into the phone and handed it back to him. Ben saved the number, but when he looked back up, she was gone. That's my move. Still, he let out a sigh of relief because he could at least contact her later. Can't let that one get away. That's my future wife. Then he looked at his phone. F***CK. This is the number for Domino's Pizza. Despite his pants still being down, with an urgency like he saw the bat signal in the sky, Ben waddled out at max penguin pace. He searched in every direction for any hint of his savior, but she was nowhere to be found. True heroes didn't seek appreciation. Ben stuck out his arm into the darkness, as if grasping for something too good to exist on this earth, something priceless. Tit Job Tina. That was the name he saved her as in his phone, since she didn't reveal her true identity. This way, he wouldn't feel as bad losing to a named boss. Alas, Ben needed to accept that they were gone, the tits that got away. He sighed. Happiness C. U.MS and Goose. Batman's eyes were determined. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we nut. After cleaning himself up, Ben was tip-toeing through the dim corridors. He'd cleaned himself up and was heading back to the exit near the bar. He knew he was getting closer because the volume of the electronic music was decreasing. Still, he had to be careful. The path wasn't complicated, but he didn't want to misstep into another hallway from hell. Half the doorways in this warehouse hid the gaping jaws of giant demons, lying in wait for wandering fools to deliver themselves as food. Ben walked with a careful pace. Should I look at my points? Throughout the night, he received various system alerts but never opened them because he was always occupied or in cornhole danger. Know that I can't risk seeing something there that'll motivate me into staying here any longer. This is the devil's anus that I can't allow his whispers to entice me. In this place, it's easy to lose control and become a C.U.control. I'll look at them when I get home. Despite his last encounter going well, Ben didn't forget the terrible things he'd seen, nor ever could he. Suddenly, he stopped. There were people yelling, approaching from behind. You call yourself a spelunker. What about you? Rectum Ranger. Ha. You ain't no Chuck Norris. Accelerate. Ben sped up his pace. He was a little worried though. Although he remembered the path back, he wasn't sure of the surroundings. On the way here, he was too busy staring at the MILF's ass. He only hoped there wouldn't be too many dangers. Batman. It's you, someone yelled from Ben's left. Ben glanced in the direction of the voice. There stood a grungy room with concrete floors that housed many shirtless men. There was a sign on the wall. Fist Club. Several more lines underneath read. The first rule of Fist Club is: please talk about Fist Club. The second rule of Fist Club is: Ben didn't need to read anymore. He looked at the man who yelled at him. It was the four-legged demon. Ben grimaced. Damn, it's Fart Fist Ace. The demon waved him over. Batman. Come. Ben's face turned green. Batman, your granny. He skulked away into the shadows. Ben felt like he was in a Cube movie today, with one room worse than the next and no way out. That's why he hesitated to feel relief when he viewed the new space he entered. This one was clean, at least compared to the other rooms. It had to be, because it was a giant shared shower. It must have been off when I passed through before. Now, the sound of running water from various faucet heads permeated the area. The shower area was like one you might see in a sports locker room, with light blue tiles covering the floor and walls, and many people showering. Although Ben couldn't call it normal civilization, he had to admit it wasn't as bad as most parts of the House of Horrors he experienced so far. He walked around the edges, trying to pass to the exit on the other side. At least they clean themselves up after. Then he got closer. That's not clean at all. They were pissing on each other. These showers were a disguise. The true showers were golden. Ben almost slipped several times as he sprinted out of there into the next room. Would you like something from the gift shop? A male clerk with many facial piercings and a black leather apron asked Ben. This was the next area, the last before the exit. One could argue it was the ideal place for a gift shop. However, Ben squinted. He didn't expect such a shop to be here. There's a gift shop. Do you have postcards? All we have is dildos. The clerk pointed to the wall behind him. We got all the new models. Armadildo. The Donald Pump. That's the one with Mr. President's head as the mushroom tip. Of course, there's the Shrek dildo. The dildo with the heart of gold. After rambling a while, the clerk turned back around. That's when he realized he'd been talking to thin air. Ben had long escaped. The clerk frowned and gazed at the floor. Shoot, Billy, you screwed it up again. This is why Daddy always says you're no good. And oh dang good. Didn't tell him about the whole sale d.I.c. Discount. Chapter 59. Achievement Hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For Days to Live. Don't touch me ass. Goblins. Ben jolted awake screaming from a nightmare. After looking around, he relaxed, realizing he was safe in his dorm room bed. What kind of dreams are you having? Sitting at his desk on the other side of the room, Ferric showed a strange expression. Ben didn't know what to say until he noticed a certain ID on his desk. A dream at Danny DeVito's family reunion. Ferric nodded in understanding. The best lies came from partial truths. Ben sat up, looked through his window out at Washington Square Park. Birds and passing cars composed the morning's orchestra. Through great peril, Ben made it home last night. He was so tired he almost passed out many times on the train ride back. Even though his body was no longer in danger, that didn't block the nightmares. Ben didn't have any problem with homos. E.X.U.A.ls or fetishists, or even creatures partaking in any form of ass-goblinry, but he wasn't interested in becoming a cave slave. Ben reflected on the encounter with Tina. I've worked so hard at being assertive with women. Chasing them, leading the interaction. Despite that, my first sex.u.L experience was as the passive one. Not sure how I should feel about that. He gathered his complicated thoughts for several seconds. F asterisk CK that SH asterisk T, Daddy got his nut off. It was all about results in the end. Although I didn't directly use the pickup skills I've been working on, the passives I developed still played a role. If I hadn't raised my looks, manliness, and charisma stats, I doubt she would have approached me. Also, to get lucky, I had to expose myself for the opportunity to find me. I've been approaching women or going out every night for almost a month. That's key. I'm not a gynecologist. Random poon doesn't deliver itself to my house. Now that he had his first SEX.U.L experience, Ben felt more confident. If I can do one, I can do a million. Okay, very confident, but math wasn't his strong suit. Although it wasn't SEX, I got a taste of the sweetness. Those brie a.s. tick less. Ben held the fondest memories close to his weenies. It was awesome. I want more. After all that hard work, he accomplished it. Ben touched the edge of the Tao of perversion. Alright, let's not lose track of the important things in life, time to review them points. Ben checked his system alerts from last night. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Poking the dark abyss, uncommon. Visit the dark side and view its spectacles, distributing reward. PUA points plus 200, the title doesn't sound right. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Try, strangulate, fine. Take part in a 3-way strangulation masturbation, distributing reward. PUA points plus 500, it's bullsh asterisk T. I did not take part. I did not. Oh hi Ferric. Ben forgot Ferric was there. Ferric glanced up from his books and stared at Ben, wondering if he was all right. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Legendary genitalia sculptor, fine. Permanently changed the shape of someone's genitalia with your tender touch, distributing reward. PUA points plus 500, Ben shook his head in disbelief. There was no tenderness. It was a punch. Self-defense. Why must you slander me? Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Titled Pervert, rare. Earn a custom title from your deeds, see asterisk puncher, distributing reward. PUA points plus 1000, user has unlocked system. Titles, user has gained the title. See asterisk puncher, uncommon, titles. Ben asked the system for more details. It turned out titles provided various bonuses, but he could only equip one at a time. It's nice to unlock something new, but see asterisk puncher. After a few seconds, Ben shrugged. Should be one of the better C asterisk CK related titles. He opened the titles category and then his only title for more information on the bonus it provided. C asterisk puncher, uncommon. When punching a C asterisk CK, targeted C asterisk CK receives 30% bonus damage and a higher chance of permanent bending. Ben squinted. Real F asterisk king useful, whatever, doesn't matter. Better than nothing, maybe. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Aficionado, fine. Participate in a fisting session, distributing reward. PUA points plus 500, Ben shot up out of bed. Misreported. Misreported on all charges. Ben wished he could speak to the manager. What kind of record-keeping was this? Whatever that's troubling you, I believe you buddy. Ferric consoled. Ben's eyes turned red. Why couldn't I get a Ferric system? Forget it. Better achievements should come up soon. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Honey D asterisk king, uncommon. Get opened by an unknown woman, distributing reward. PUA points plus 200, congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Get ready for D.I.C. Doc's appointment, fine. Get propositioned by an unknown woman for SEX.U.L act, distributing reward. PUA points plus 500, Ben nodded. A double dot layered pun. Nice. I'm not even mad. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Globetrotting, uncommon. Have a woman show you her B point R point E point A point S point TS point by choice, distributing reward. PUA points plus 200, congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Forever filthy, uncommon. Have a woman touch your P point E point N point I point S point by choice, distributing reward. PUA points plus 200, oh come on. It's not forever. There's hand sanitizer. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Titty boom boom, repeatable, uncommon. Get a tit job from a new woman, distributing reward. PUA points plus 200, this was the first repeatable achievement Ben had seen. After asking the system, he learned that he'd only gain one repeatable achievement per CX.U.L encounter with a girl, and it would default to the one with the highest points. So he couldn't chain a bunch of achievements with a girl. Once he had a CX, all the SEX.U. A.L acts with lower points during that encounter would become nullified. He also noticed that new woman part. It seemed the system prioritized seeking new partners. I have an excuse now. Ben spread a mischievous smile. If he became a man's L.U.T, it wouldn't be his fault. That's just how the system raised him. Congratulations. You've unlocked the achievement. Golden showers bring May flowers, fine. Participate in a group golden shower, distributing reward. PUA points plus 500, it only touched my shoes. I don't want it. Ben did his best Jon Snow impression. Despite that, the prosecution threw as many charges as possible at him to create pressure on the defense. He pleaded innocent, but he was close to pleading insanity. Why did it have to end on that? That was Ben's last achievement. He shook it off though. Ben's mood lifted because he had a mountain of points. It was time to unbox new loot. Chapter 60. First skill book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 200 plus 500 plus. After seeing all those numbers, Ben put his proverbial nerd glasses on and added the points up in his head. Digits flew left and right in his mind's eye as he calculated a precise sum. Lost count. There's a lot. Okay, doing the math himself wasn't the key. That's what his system was for. 4,850 points. That's how many Ben saved now. He couldn't believe he gathered so many in one night. Yet, Ben pinched his eyebrows because it created a new difficulty. Should I look for fetish places to scrounge for points over the next few days? Different people might make different choices here, but it only took Ben several seconds to arrive at an answer. No F*King way. The primary reason he went there last night was to see if the system would create an event. He never expected to earn so many achievements, nor for his trip to become an escape from Arkham. Besides, that party last night only happened once in a while. Even if he found something similar somewhere, he could only receive each achievement once, which meant he'd have to run around and soil himself with new disgusting activities every time. He could gain points that way and it might increase his chance of surviving in 4 days, but he'd rather die. No amount of points were worth it to Ben if it meant being trapped in a tornado of P.E.N.I.ses and buttholes flying at him from every direction. After 4 days, he'd still have to continue living. He needed to live being able to look at himself in the mirror. Ben's will was firm. Sometimes in life, a man has to stand up, clench his anus, and say no. I will not take part in your jizz jamboree. His eyes glowed with the steadfastness of a single man blocking the gates from a mighty horde of charging C*Kexmen. This was resoluteness. This was heroism. He would die before allowing those brutes to pillage his innocent rear. Anyways, going there won't clear my death mission. There were few women there above a 7, and there's another requirement besides looks. That's why despite getting lucky last night with the MILF, there was no change. Ben's death mission was: Novice welcome. Seduce a woman within 1 month or die. With the MILF, Ben didn't seduce her. She seduced him. That tit job was like that time I made a new MMO character, then a max level passed by and donated me some of their old but OP gear. Alright. Where were we? I'll open the store.hu. Why isn't there anything different? The first thing Ben noticed was there wasn't any new item listed, although he gathered so many points. From 1000 to 4850, no new item popped up. Maybe the stronger items scale up on a curve just like stats. I don't know if the next one will be available at 5k or 10k. Either way, I don't have time to wait and see. I can gain many treasures now. With this many points, Ben could buy 4 mid-level mystery boxes. However, because Ferric was here, Ben needed to go somewhere else for privacy. So, he walked to the bathroom and sat on the toilet. He would perform the unboxing on his throne. Ben only hoped he wouldn't get something large enough to burst through the walls, but so far all the items were small. Let's go. Ben made the first draw. A mystery box appeared in his lap and he opened it, closing his eyes to avoid the light. A. Book. Ben's palms held a light blue book. Squirtle Hydro Pump, Skill Book, Fine, X1. There are Pokemon in this. After some confusion, Ben's eyes lit up. Is this going to give me superpowers? I was always more of a Charmander guy, but you're gotta start building your squad from somewhere. He checked the skill description. Squirtle Hydro Pump, Skill, Set, Fine. Entry-level fingering technique to make a woman squirt, that I should have known better than to get my expectations up. Though, I'm not too disappointed. Wait, it says set. Is that what I think it is? Set. Gotta catch 'em all. Collect Squirtle Hydro Pump, Skill, Bulbasaur Seed Bomb, Skill, and Charmander Fire Punch, Skill, to get a bonus hidden Pikachu Sweet Kiss, Skill, collection status. 1/3. I can follow most of the sex.u.l innuendos, but what does Fire Punch do? Ben scratched his head. There's a lot going on here. In any case, this is my first skill. And a set skill at that. I don't know if it's any good. Or why it's named after Pokemon. But I'll take it. Would you like to learn Squirtle Hydro Pump, Skill Book, Fine, . Ben gave a mental affirmation and soon the book turned into an energy ball made up of light. It then arced down into the toilet and shot into his anus. Ow. It even gave him an electric shock on contact. Isn't it supposed to go into my forehead? Why the anus? The system didn't provide an answer. You okay in there? Ferric shouted. Just catastrophic constipation, nothing to worry about. It was another trauma added onto the long list Ben needed to share with a psychiatrist.